Swiss Cheese Radio, where we specialize in horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. My name is Schmidt, and I'm joined once again by my co-host. You guys know him. You love him. The meme lord himself, Mr. Brodinky. What's going on, bro? How you doing tonight?
Yo, lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. I like it, man. We're here. We're here for number 7, and
it's a thing.
We're doing it big. You know, every week we're recording a new episode, so hope you fans at home are enjoying what we're putting out.
And
but today we
appreciate that even on a holiday week we are getting an episode out. All right,
we have to.
No days off.
We cannot have any days off. But we have a pretty exciting topic for you guys today. Bro and I have been, spitting this back and forth and trying to figure out something cool. And we came up with the idea about maybe positioning the one watch collection, the one thing that most collectors want to stay away from, because, hey, we're collectors for a reason. So I'll let Bro kind of dive into more what we're going to cover with this topic and what stipulations we're going to have with regards to the rules for collecting this.
We try to keep it fresh on this show, try not to do too much overlap with a lot of other topics that people have covered. And so, we try to keep it a little spicy and kick ideas back and forth that we think people are going to enjoy. And so I think this is one that everybody kind of mulls over from time to time. Could I be one watch person? And we're going to use one watch person because one watch guy is an outdated term, right? We're inclusive on Swiss Cheese Radio.
True that.
Not to mention a good chunk of our group are lady collectors. Shouts to the ladies out there. But we've always, I know I personally have always wondered, could I do it? And I've always thought maybe I could get down to 2 or 3 watches. I don't ever think I could do one, but I do know people who are at least trying. I have 2 friends of mine that are lifelong watch guys, lifelong collectors, and both are paring back their collections right now. And just in talking to them, we kind of were going over the idea of why you'd even want to do that. Why would somebody want to be a one watch person? And a lot of it came down to having too many choices is a headache, right? You roll out of bed in the morning, you get dressed, and now you have this decision of, some people have a box of 10, 12 watches, maybe even more. Which one am I going to use? Do I have to take it out and wind it? What's running? For some people, it's easier than others. Like I myself, a lot of times will just take, usually I have probably 2 watches running and then a couple rando quartz options. I'm usually taking something that's running. But for a lot of people, it gives them a little anxiety of having to do that. So I can understand the liberating feeling of only having 1, maybe 2 choices. Just grab it and go.
Yeah.
So feeling overwhelmed, looking at a pile of watches, having significant money tied up in different watches, many of them maybe going unused. I know there are times in my own collection where I just don't wear a watch for a couple weeks, and then I'll rekindle my relationship with it and I'll wear it a couple weeks straight.
Yeah.
So I think that's a real thing. Plus, let's face it, certain watches are not cheap to service, maintain. Long run could be costly. I understand that angle too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other people like our friend Sam. Hi, Sam. Who worry about sharing wrist time with their watches, that feel guilty when they don't evenly distribute time on the wrist. Almost like the watches have a personality. Which I get. I guess they're a little bit like having kids if you're not a mom or dad or what have you. Right? They're kind of like your children. So I understand you don't want to play favorites. You want to spread it out.
Sure.
And then lastly, I mean, the hassle of buying and selling is real. That's just what it is. Buying stuff, I mean, it's annoying. You have to try to find a deal. You don't want to pay tax. And, there's not that many discounts a lot of places anymore. It's not like that. It just isn't. So between that and selling, you have to list things, you have to field offers, you get annoying question people. I understand it completely that once you're kind of done with that, you also feel just very free of having to do that again.
Yeah.
So it seems like an easy task. Hey, well, I could just be a one watch person. Why not? But could you really? Because you're going to have to pick one.
That's true. But I will say this as a caveat before we really dive into this. At one point in time, we all were one watch people. Let's be honest. If you think back to the first time that you put on a watch that you really felt was your own, and was kind of the gateway watch for you to get in the watches. At one point in time, we were all one watch people, and we started out with very different pieces from different price points, and that was really kind of our exposure level. But it's not an impossible task. But now, because I love pieces so much, I don't think for me, I could do it. But if I had to, there's some pieces on my list that I think I could do it with. And so kind of laying it out here, this is kind of where we want to get started. So do you want to kick it off? Do you want me to do it? I'm open either way.
Well, let me finish that off with
sure.
For those two friends of mine. One is going with a Cartier Santos, little dressy.
Okay.
The other one is, well, he has a weird situation because he was lucky enough to get a Speedmaster from his mother as a gift. So he cannot move that one way or another. Impossible move, even if he wanted to. Right.
Sure.
And his other watch is a little 38 millimeter Seiko. I don't know if it's branded as a cocktail, but it's a little 38 millimeter textured, dressy kind of watch in like a matcha color. Very cool. Very easy wear.
Okay.
But so those are like his two that he's kind of sticking with. And it's funny. Our kind of joke is that like, it's almost like becoming a samurai. Like you have to find out what you truly love and what will stick with you forever. And it's kind of like your samurai training. Like the only way to do it is to be battle tested, buy and try out lots of different models, be involved, make mistakes. It's all part of that like Bushido rite of passage. And then at the end you become the samurai and you're the one watch whiz. And that's just what it is. But that's like our little inside joke in our group chat.
You have beat the final boss, Ben Clymer, at level 200 before you could finally cross the threshold, right?
That's it. So kind of throwing this episode together, there were certain things I wanted to try to meet as far as criteria go, because I feel like there's certain things that an Only Watch should cover. To an extent, you're going to need a little bit of that X factor, the eye candy. It not only has to look great, but I would think you want a little bit of brand appeal, right? Because
sure, absolutely.
You don't just want to be able to stand out to watch people. You at least want to be respected by others, right? I mean, you have a business meeting, random people on the street, hey, it's a nice watch. What is it? Well, you don't want to tell them about some run-of-the-mill, I don't know, whatever kind of model it might be. But I think you want a little bit of curb appeal. I think that's not unreasonable. I think that's a reason why a lot of people buy a watch.
Sure.
I think you have to be able to dress it up at least a little bit. I know not a lot of us are too dressy anymore, but I'm also not confident that a true dress watch could be versatile enough to be an Only Watch. Because I don't know if it's going to be.
There's a fair argument to be said for that.
There's a toughness requirement that I will get to, I feel like. But, plus Bond wore a Seamaster with a tux. So who cares?
Rules are meant to be broken, my friend. So we're good.
That's right. On the other hand, versatility is a big, big thing, at least for me. I think it needs to be able to handle everyday life. If you're a commuter, you're going to be on mass transit a lot. I know you and I both have kids. Yep. I don't want to be afraid to be around water or if it's a rainy day, like when you have a really nice vintage watch. And that's why I kind of wanted to keep vintage somewhat out of it, because I didn't want to get too involved with having to worry about materials wearing down and things like that, gaskets. I'd rather just be peace of mind, go with new watches, leave it at that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So new watches. Okay. What else? What else are the rules?
I think accessibility is going to be a big one. This is probably going to tweak a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
I think it's going to hurt the argument for a Rolex here, because we don't make these episodes just for us or just for the high horology crowd or people with connections. We make these for everybody. And that includes people who are just starting out, people who are collecting on an everyday level. There's no kind of floor or ceiling here. So we'd like our episodes to be relevant as possible.
And realistic.
Yes. And I think people confuse availability to be purchased with accessibility. An Oyster Perpetual at $5,000 is accessible. An Oyster Perpetual at $20,000 is not accessible.
Yes. Just because you can buy it on the gray market on Chrono for 6 times the retail price or whatever the calculation is, 5 times the retail price, does not mean it is accessible. If you could buy it at the retail price, that's something different.
And even for a lot of people, I don't know if that is accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, the super hype train watches, they're not really Wrist Cheese Radio style. And, you have to kind of watch your back with stuff like that. They do command a lot of negative attention. I know a friend of the show actually just got one stolen off him in another country. Really kind of a sad situation, but everybody's okay. Not going to name any names, but my heart goes out to that guy. He's a great dude. And also, on the other hand, I just don't want to be worried about damaging a collector's item.
Yeah.
You have a watch that's at least, even if it's just considered scarce, I don't want to have to worry about damaging that on the daily.
Mhm.
I want to be able to do my thing. And if, heaven forbid I'm wearing it at work and I didn't think I was going to get my hands dirty that day, and I do, and I ding it, I don't want to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So I think those are big points. I know I personally looked at somewhat more conservative designs, so I try to leave out kind of awkward case shapes, sizes, so no
Sure.
Panerai, no Bell & Ross. I kept my color schemes a little tamer. And I guess if it's something like a Strat Monster, it's kind of a plus because I want it to be versatile as possible.
Yes. You and I think so alike on these types of things when we plan this out. It's funny how many similarities we share with our own kind of mental landscape as to what we're looking for.
Yeah. And so while that's a giant laundry list, it's really not when you think about it, but it's just a lot of explanation.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, again, we have to frame this conversation. If not, we'll be just pulling stuff out of left field and it wouldn't make sense. So
yeah, I'd like to at least have a guideline for the folks to follow along with at home.
Okay. All right. So that said, you set out the rules, you gave us the playbook. Why don't you take the first step on the field?
Okay. And I've got a few different price points here. Again, we kind of do the show for everybody. I'm leading off with an Oris. This model I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for. It's the Big Crown Pointer Date. You can get them in 36, 40. I'm leaning 40 because it has a 20 mil lug size. The 36, I believe, has a 17.
Oh, okay.
Gonna get a little hairy there.
A little different. All right.
So, they have gray, blue dial. They have a few others that are a little more out there. The Oxblood. They have a green with bronze Holstein edition. Another one. They're all pretty versatile, pretty reasonably sized, and not too pricey. I think they come in just around 17, 1800. So not awful.
Yeah.
50 meter water resistance. Not bad. Really cool date complication was a plus for me. I mean, for me, that's a neat talking point. I think even somebody who's not into watches, they would say, oh, what does this watch do? And you can say, well, check this out, right? It's at least something to boast about a little bit.
Absolutely. And again, pointer dates are not complications that we run into often. And it's almost so trivial because, a date wheel can solve this for you, right? If you really need to have a date. But, especially given the price of the actual piece itself, to have something that adds a little bit more visual interest to this, to that price point, to that color scheme, I think is really special. And again, there's great things to be had at all price points. But I think this is a really solid choice for an everyday type watch.
It's got that cool stylized bezel, sweet minute track, cathedral hands, which are a personal favorite of mine. Yes. It's almost like a sexier Swiss alpinist.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, that's probably a great way to describe it. And it's funny that you mentioned the pointer date because my sister, she had a college roommate who had his dad's old pointer date.
Oh, those are really cool.
Like an old Oris pointer date from probably the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was like I think 35 mil, like something really small, but it was a more modern timepiece because it was already when Oris was putting on red rotors and all that stuff, so it was a more modern piece. But I remember seeing it for the first time. I'm like, it's like, are you into watches? He's like, no, not really, but I wear this one every day. It's my dad's old watch, like I love it. And I just remember being drawn to it. He came over for Christmas one year. And I just remember being drawn to them, like, man, that's pretty cool. What a cool, interesting watch. I had really never seen one before. And then since then, obviously, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. But, great all-around piece. It's amazing. Good choice.
And I think it falls into the category of a potential Strat Monster. Checks a lot of the boxes. Maybe not 100% on the curb appeal, but I know at least around me, there are some Oris ads around New York, and the manager of the Yankees wears one. So that gives you something.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a big Oris guy, Aaron Boone.
There's some street cred there. I mean, again, and Oris is a good brand. They got a great price point. They've been making some big moves, especially in movement development and movement technology. They've been coming out with anti-magnetic stuff, big power reserve stuff.
Yeah, very.
They've been doing skeletonized work. I mean, Oris is not a small player in the game. They're a smaller player when it comes to price point, but it doesn't mean their quality is any less superb. So that's a solid choice. You could not go wrong.
All right, why don't you throw one at me here?
Yeah, so I got a little bit less expensive option. Again, we're doing this for kind of all different price points. So the first one I want to throw at you is the Tissot Gentleman. So it's not my favorite name for a watch. I will be honest with you, but especially the newer versions of the Gentleman timepiece, which has been recently updated. They now feature all Powermatic 80 movements. So if you're not familiar with Tissot's offerings or other offerings within Swatch Group, Powermatic 80s are 80-hour power reserve movements.
Beasts.
They have a beast. I mean, they have a slightly lower frequency than most watch movements. It's basically a modified version of an ETA, but it's been upgraded to have an 80-hour power reserve. And specifically, the new Gentlemans that came out, I think, within the last year or two, they are equipped with silicium hairsprings, which is fancy word for silicone. So at $775 US, so under $800, you can get a decently respectable watch brand with a great style. There's black dials, silver dials, green dials, blue dials. You take your pick. Strap options, bracelet options. You could do two-tone bezel or all steel, whatever. Under $1,000 or so. And you're getting it with a silicone hairspring inside with an 80-hour power reserve movement. It is a watch you could wear dressed up. You could wear it to a nice business outing if you need to. But it's also something that if you have, some cocktails out with your buddies at the end of a long night, I mean, it's going to look great in all these situations. And I think that's really what speaks to making a great all-around choice. It's just something that you could do everything in and not have to worry about it. And I think it's hard to really, especially at that price point, it's hard to pass up something like the Gentleman. I just think it's a really solid choice.
And that really affordable collector can get into it with a quartz movement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the quartz model's at like $375. So even if it's like your first watch, or let's say we have any parents out there who are collectors and they want to get something for their kid, high school graduation or birthday, Christmas is coming up, something like that, get them a Gentleman. And maybe they're not ready for the automatic version, but at quartz at $375 US, it's a great looking watch that they'll be happy to wear, and they'll be able to beat up really, really well and kind of get used to wearing a timepiece. So I think it's a great choice. I want one. I don't have one yet, but I do have a few Tissots in my collection. The Gentleman would certainly fit the bill being added in there.
Yeah, and I think Tissot kind of has that same thing going for it. I know that we have enough ads around New York City. I think they actually sponsor Madison Square Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a few different ones. I mean, their big sponsorship here in the US too is also like the NBA. So literally like all the NBA timekeeping is done by Tissot.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's like the shot clocks and all that stuff. That's all Tissot that's doing the sports timing.
That's actually
so
cool.
Yeah. So all the NBA. That's why they have a lot of basketball players. Like they started out with Tony Parker for the Spurs when he was still playing, and then basically they kind of branched off into other different ambassadors as well. But they do a lot with the NBA. I think they even present. I mean, and this is really like a big deal, but they even present like new draft picks with watches during draft day. So like they all get watches, but I mean, they're Tissots. These guys are wearing solid gold Rolexes anyway. So it's just kind of like, okay, but there you go.
Thanks. Here's the photo.
Here's your $375 quartz Tissot, sir. Like, oh, thank you. It says NBA on the back.
Okay. I'll go with my next guy here.
All right.
I guess going along with the same idea, I'm going to kind of ascend here in price point, I think. My next choice is a Zinn. It's a 556. It's I believe it's the B dial with the stick markers, and 38.5 millimeter, 11 thick, which is really nice. Kind of fits that Gata watch perfectly. SW200 movement. I don't know if everybody would be thrilled with that at 1360, but
hey, they run well. I mean,
no, it's a tried movement. I'm just saying. A lot of people knock that when they see Solita. But 200-meter water resistance can't go wrong there.
Do people really get upset about that?
I don't
The
know.
Salida versus
movement snobs out there,
Etta?
man.
Well, look, man, it's like you're buying a sub few $1,000 watch. Like there's only a few choices here for movements. So it's like a Salida is a direct clone of the 2824. I mean, it's a good movement, and it's been out for a while now. It's not going to fail you. Okay, if it does fail you, then you service it. It's not a big deal. But people drive me nuts. Maybe we'll do a pod on movements one day.
Movement pod, like, put everybody to sleep.
I'm just good. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just please fire questions to me, and I'll just answer them for you. Be like Jack Forrester.
So 200-meter water resistance, great there. You know it's tough as nails. It's a Zin.
Yeah, it's a great watch. And
no
Explorer
frills.
Vibes.
Yeah, Explorer vibes. Right. So for that non-accessible Explorer, here it is. You get your substitute.
Yeah. Solid.
Yeah, no frills, no worries, very low maintenance. I feel like that's a watch I could wear and never worry about it. Never even think twice. I know it'll always be there. It'll always be ticking. I can beat the crap out of it, not worried.
See, and that's super important. And I've never personally owned a Zen, but I know some collector buddies of mine who have, and just seeing one in the flash and in the metal and like being able to play with it and interact with it, it's such a great offering. That German brand really knows what the hell they are doing. They know how to make a watch, and they know how to make a great watch at a great price point. And I think you get a lot when you do buy a Zen. Sometimes they are hard to get, especially like I think there was a 556 with a white dial that came out and was just like gone instantly.
Yeah,
like
it was nice.
that was a sweet watch, kind of the reverse combination. But super cool watches. Their die watches are incredible too. So they have a piece in my heart. But good choice, man. You're picking some good ones.
I want to say they just released a mother of pearl dial, which is kind of interesting.
Did they really?
I think it's the 556. Definitely a Zin. 100% Zin. Mother of pearl.
I have to look this up because I don't believe it. Oh, it's popping right up. Hold on. What is it? Ooh, maybe it is a 556.
I mean, interesting because they have watches with a mother of pearl dial, but it also looks kind of cool.
Do you know what type of mother of pearl they're using though?
No, I don't know anything about mother of pearl.
Okay. So it looks like it's Tahitian mother of pearl. So for those who don't know what Tahitian mother of pearl is black mother of pearl. And it occurs, quite frankly, in like very small places in the world. And one of them primarily is Tahiti. Like that's where the pearls are actually made naturally black. So they don't come out white, they come out black. So it's kind of a more aggressive iridescent color.
So it's like, you want vibranium, you got to go to Wakanda for that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it's only going to come from one place. But Tahitian mother of pearl is really cool. I mean, it's obviously mother of pearl, so it has a little bit of a feminine aspect to it. Maybe that's who they're marketing here. But Tahitian mother of pearl is it picks up so many different colors when you
it's like
wear
rainbow.
It's 100%. It's like grays and blacks and blues. You're gonna get greens in there, some red. So it really kind of has this chameleon effect that it goes with everything. So I did not know about this, but this is kind of an interesting watch. It's not something that I would have kind of put together, but if you're kind of going for more of a unisex model or something a little bit more androgynous, like this would be.
The execution isn't bad.
No, it's not. It's totally not. Not at all what I expected. When I'm like, oh, mother of pearl, it's gonna be some white thing with pink lettering on it. I was fully waiting for it, but no, this is very cool. 556 with mother of pearl.
Yeah, and like you said, sucks you can't try it on necessarily. You have to go through watch buys.
Yeah, is that the retailer for the States?
I think so. I think it's watch buys.
Okay.
And non-WIS people probably won't get it, but the WIS crowd is going to give you like standing ovation. Zin is like one of those brands that everybody just gets. They're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good brand. And like I said, I've never owned one personally, but I have a few buddies that have, and it's just like they've been very, very happy with all of their purchases from Zin. And like I said, they make great dive watches. So
yeah, the divers have always kind of got me. I never bought one because, like I said, I can't handle one, and I'm kind of particular with the way divers wear. But
Yeah.
that U1, U50,
Yes,
all
that's what my buddy
those,
had. He had
all
the
those, man.
U1. He had the U1 on the rubber strap, and it was
Yeah.
just like at first when you see the handset, you're like, I don't know if this is me, and then you see it in person, like, okay, this is freaking cool. So it looks really good. What do you know what the difference is between the U50 and the U1? I don't. They look
Size, I
very
think.
similar. Oh, is it size?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the U1 is what, like 42?
It might even be bigger than that.
You think so? Oh, 44.
Yeah,
No
44.
crap.
I was gonna say. Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know it was
the
that big.
U50,
I don't remember
wanna say, is
being that big
41.
though. I don't remember it being that big. I know my buddy had a U1 for sure, and I tried it on many occasions. I'm like, this feels great. So the U50 is maybe smaller.
I think it's 41. Think.
You are correct, sir.
Let's go.
You've done your homework. You surpassed the teacher here. Usually I'm bringing more of the facts and the size and the specs, but hey, you're beating me here with this tegimented steel knowledge.
All right. What else you got?
I like it. So my next choice, taking it back in a little bit more of a retro inspired look, but something I still think is very timeless. One of my favorite watches that I've never personally owned, but it's always been one of those watches, kind of like what we talked about on episode 1 and episode 2. It just gets you by the nethers.
Yep.
And it's just like, at some point you have to have it in the collection, no matter what, come hell or high water. You're just waiting for the right time, the right price, and the right condition to make that purchase. And for me, that's the Longines Legend Diver.
Good pick.
I love this watch.
Date or no date?
And if I had my druthers, it would be the no date version, but they're almost impossible to find just because they were only produced for a very short time. And they were produced in a time where there wasn't really a lot of WISP people out there to collect them. So they were very quickly discontinued and then replaced with date models, which attracted more random people who are going to buy this watch, right? People want to have dates. And I think today the modern version still continues on with the date, but it's just now in a bunch of different colors. That said, this watch with you talked about this on the last episode, right? That kind of compressor style case.
Yeah.
Although this one is not a physical compressor anymore, to my knowledge, but it just has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I love the snakehead hour hand. I love the internal bezel. The Longines logo looks amazing. It's one of the older logos. It still remains to be consistent, hasn't been changed or modified in the watch industry. The proportions are awesome. 42 mil for the case, and they make smaller versions like the 36 for those of you who are more akin to smaller timepieces. And the fact that you have so many options now, you can do a black, you can do a blue kind of fume dial, you can do kind of like a tobacco color. There's a lot of different options. There's some ladies versions out there with mother.
Kind of dig the bronze. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The bronze is sick,
it's
man.
It's a little over the top. Definitely not a one watch, but part of the collection, I could dig it.
The bronze is sick. I'm really torn between 3. It's like the 3 I just mentioned. So there's like a tobacco dial. It's kind of more on a bronzy brownish color. Then there's like a blue fume kind of look. It's obviously not an enamel dial, but it has that kind of blue to black outer coloration there.
Yeah.
And then I love the OG black on black. So, I mean, I don't think you could go wrong either way. It's an incredible piece. It's something that I would love to own in my collection. And I've been patiently waiting. It's such a cool piece of diving nostalgia and diving history that I think would be awesome to add. And because of how refined it is, I think it's a watch that transitions very well between sport and dress. I've never, when I've seen this watch in the showroom, I've always considered it a dress watch before I've considered it a diving watch. And to me, it's kind of that happy medium, right? Because you said it before. It's like, when it comes to watches, we want them to be utilitarian. We want them to be able to wear for everything. And dress watches make that difficult, right? You can't always pick up a watch and just be like, all right, I'm going to strap it on and go do the thing. Because sometimes the situation doesn't call for it, or something could happen and it could damage. So having a watch that really looks more like a dress piece, but has the functionality of a sports watch, to me is a great look for kind of that one watch. And I'll be honest with you, if I had to wear that watch every single day for the rest of my life, I would be more than happy to do so. I love it.
Yeah, and I've seen some sick pictures of it on a NATO where it looks really good. Like not every diver looks good on a NATO. That one does.
And especially the Milanese. The mesh bracelet is so good on this watch. I mean, that's how I think it was originally sold, that in a sailcloth. But this watch, so good. So good. Give me a Milanese all day. Let's go.
I like it a lot. Something off the beaten track.
I think so, man. I miss this watch. I've loved it since it came out. I think it was introduced in like 2010, 2011, something like. It's been forever. And it was funny. I had somebody listen to the podcast from last week's episode, and they're like, 2012, because we were talking about the Tudor, and I was like, yeah, that was forever ago. And someone was like, it wasn't that long ago. I'm like, in the watch world, that's basically like generations.
Yeah, when you get new editions slapped in your face every day, it sure is.
Yeah. It's like that must have been like 20 years ago. It was so long ago, right? Anyway, so what do you got next?
Okay, I'm gonna go way up market with a pick, a little out of order.
Okay.
Here. So, a brand that I personally really like that I feel like doesn't get enough shine, the Watchmaker's watch.
Oh, okay.
JLC.
Ah, yes.
Now
we will not butcher the name. We're not going to.
No, I'm not even going to try that nonsense. When I first got into watches, one of the stylings, I guess you'd say, that I really fell in love with was this kind of just subtle. It's a subtle design, sort of the whole JLC aesthetic, and a quintessential example of this, the Master Control Date.
Okay.
Is the one I'm talking about here. It's 40 millimeter, 8.8 thick. So
paper thin.
Strap monster, I'd say. You don't really have a bracelet option there, but I feel like any leather is going to look good on it. Kind of sterile, but it has a blue accent hand that I think might be enough to save it. You know it's got a brand name on it. Got some curb appeal, right? Doctor Strange wears one.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Not cheap, $7,000. So again, accessibility, not so sure. But I think it checks a lot of those other boxes.
But I'll say this though, if you're considering accessibility too, again, we've offered people different watches at different price points. So the accessibility is there. I think with JLC too is the fact that I can walk into a JLC boutique or retailer and buy this watch today speaks to the accessibility. Okay. It may not be accessible for everyone to just be like, all right, here's $7,000 plus tax. But I think for a watch that's truly special, has a great, history, is made from a great brand, goes through that 1,000 hours test, like that's a great watch at $7,000.
Now, that's my gateway drug. All right. My JLC crush has always been the Master Ultra Thin Moon. Right? And you can get this thing 36 mils, 9.4 thick with a moon phase movement in it.
Oh my God.
For me, I don't know what it is. The moon phase is the ultimate flex complication. I know there are so many cool ones out there that are like precision timing and all these useful things. Moon phase, useless. I have no idea why I like it. I love it.
It's not useless because for all of our friends who might be werewolves out there, they need to know when it's full moon. Okay. That I'm convinced that is the only people and why the existence of the moon phase still happens today. It's because we got buddies out there who are low-key werewolves and need to know when the full
was there that
is.
much cloud cover in Switzerland back in the day? Like what?
No, I think more to be honest with you, all joking aside, I think to be honest with you, it had a lot to do with crops and farming. It was a way to know. Yes. It was a way to know when harvest was happening, things like that. Because back in the day, I mean, without going through too much history, but a lot of timekeeping that was developed for religious ceremonies or out of necessity. So you had, church bells that would ding the time for cities and everything, so people knew when to gather for worship. But you also had to make things time relevant, so you knew when to plant crops, when you need to harvest. what days you could actually work earlier. With full moons, you would have the natural light of the moon to be able to do stuff in the morning before light. Things like that were really important to people back then. And it just became more of a novelty now than a function.
So
right?
my only other things I could surmise would be related to, right, a moon cycle is roughly around a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a long-term timekeeping deal, or something having to do with the tides, because I believe full moons have stronger tides.
That's true.
I think. Anyways, that was kind of my only connection I could think to the usefulness of this complication. But regardless, it is probably my favorite complication, and they are one of them, the many brands that do it well. Another one I would really like
100%.
is IWC. They do kind of the double moon.
Yes.
Those,
both hemispheres.
yeah, that is,
Both hemispheres.
oh, that gets me. But those are very expensive.
you know quite a bit about your moon phases, my friend. 29.5 days. It's a full lunar cycle. So, and you get your double moon for the double hemispheres. Good choice,
bro. What can I say?
Hey, bringing and spitting facts.
That's it.
I like it.
So even less accessible here at around 10 grand.
But again, man, accessible is such a caveat when you think of the world like sports Rolex, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you said it earlier. It's like somebody was trying to, buy an OP for $25,000. Like, I would much rather have both of those JLCs for that price point, right? Like, I mean, and still have enough watch money left over to buy the other stuff you suggested, right? I mean, let's be honest. So I think, accessibility, again, it's a relative term here, but the fact that I could still walk into a JLC boutique and buy that watch and give them my money and happily own a piece of horological fandom is really cool.
Yeah, and make them say the name out loud.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to say it. For all of us who cannot pronounce it and would butcher it and who have not heard it correctly said, it will forever be JLC.
But at least, you get a few different dial options, rhodium, blue, black. It's going to look good on any strap you throw it on.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I would worry about, again, would be if you had a more rough and tumble lifestyle. I don't know if this is you. If you got a lot of that commuting or something going on, I don't know if you want that finishing, being around all those metal bars and things like that, or passing by commuters. But I guess if it's going to be your only watch and you're going to wear it to the end, I guess, do you really care? I don't know.
And I think, that you mentioned that, it's always so funny because, and I'll talk about my last pick here too as well, because I decided to choose the Moon watch, and specifically because I think it's, of all watches that I've owned myself, having now experienced it, I understand what people have been talking about for so many years. It is 100% a strap monster. It is a watch you can wear with literally every type of strap, and it looks good. Doesn't matter if it's a pink Woolbrook rubber Tropic, or if it's an alligator strap or something, different, a bracelet, doesn't matter. It looks good on everything. And I think it's one of the most versatile watches out there, just period. Now, that said, I mean, I know just like the which I almost said it. I almost said it. Just like the JLC out there. I think people might get hung up on the usability with the water resistance, right? It's only 50 meters. But let's be honest, guys, like that is more than enough to submerge the watch comfortably. Plus, I know the Omega with the Moon watch has been master chronometer tested, and all master chronometer watches are certified to their water resistance, plus an additional fail-safe, which a lot of people don't realize. So whatever watch it is, could be a manual wind watch. If it's 30 meters or 50 meters, if it is a non-diving model, it is certified to 20% past its stated depth. So it's 50 meters plus 20% for an additional fail-safe. If it is a diving watch, this goes out there for all the Seamasters and things like that. It's an additional 25%. So regardless, it will be okay. It's tested in water. It's submerged. It's under pressure. I am not going to do anything crazy in my Speedmaster Moon watch that could potentially get water inside of it. Just don't push your pushers underwater.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just rule number one. Okay. But that's it. I mean, I think, like the Jaeger, it's just like that's a watch to get. It is an ultimate watch. It is a great every day, and I love it. I mean, I have not taken this watch off since I've got it about maybe 2 months ago now, and I wear it every day. And it's one of those watches that I know what it's capable of, but I'm more cognizant about it, especially with the Hesalite, the crystal, right? Hashtag
Hezzy
Hezzy
boy.
boys, Hezzy boys. So I think you just learn to adapt to be more aware of it and know kind of what limitations you can do with it, right? And to some degree, there just gets to be a point where you're just going to be like, you know what? It's a watch, and I need to do the thing in it. And I think that sometimes we put too much kind of mental stress or pressure on ourselves to be like, oh, it's $7,000. Like, I can't scratch it. No, you're going to scratch it. Go ahead and scratch it, because after a while, the scratches start to look pretty good. Like, I keep thinking back to your beat up Moonwatch, and I love that thing.
Yep.
It looks so good. And again, it's like seeing the eventual process to get a watch to that point. It's kind of hard because you're like, I want it to be shiny forever. I want it to look good. But you're like, you know what?
It's impossible.
Again, yeah, it's
Impossible
impossible.
to
Like,
keep it fresh forever.
no, I've already since we recorded, I don't know what, episode 3, when I was talking about my Speedmaster and it's one scratch lug. I've already scratched all the other lugs now.
Yep.
So it's just like, it is what it is. Just keep going. I polished the Hesalite crystal a few times. Just keep going. It's a watch. Enjoy it, love it, use it, make some memories and experiences with your kids and your family, and just wear it. It's a watch. You can do the one watch if you really want to. And I do think the Moonwatch and all the suggestions that we've put up so far are pretty good contenders.
I can't argue with you. Went to the moon.
I always have told this to people. It's like, this thing passed tests that you will never
Yeah,
be
your
able
skin
to
would melt off.
replicate in your life. And yet you're concerned about a swirly on your Hesalite crystal. Buzz Aldrin would slap you. You're being ridiculous. Okay? It's just the truth. The baby went to the moon. It walked on the moon. It's still certified for flight. It's done everything that you could ever imagine in a watch, in the most harsh environment that any normal person could ever come into contact with, ever. And you're concerned about wearing it during your 9 to 5. Don't. Wear it. It'll be okay. It's
Hey,
a
question.
watch.
Did they really lose one of the actual moon watches on the way to the Smithsonian?
Yes, that's 100% true.
Oh my God.
So somewhere somebody has, unless it got destroyed or lost forever, but somewhere someone has.
Is it Armstrong's?
I think it's Neil's.
Either
I
way,
think
it's
I mean,
one
it's
of the two
obviously
big ones.
Yeah, it's either Neil or it's either Buzz, and it was on the way to the Smithsonian and it disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The big problem is, though, is all these guys were military, and there's always been like kind of the running joke that things get tactically acquired,
Yeah.
which is just a military term for it just got stolen by somebody in the military. So like I have buddies that are like, yeah, he's like, yeah, these army dudes were kind of, jumping on our face on this Marine base about, what was going on. So we decided to tactically acquire their Humvees. I'm like, what? You guys stole their trucks?
Man.
They're like, no, we didn't steal them. We tactically acquired them. I'm like, oh, okay. So yes, you stole them. So there's a lot of like infighting and things like that, and stuff gets lost or it gets missing or whatever. And it's just like, the government will pay for another one. It goes away. Nobody knows what happened to it.
I can't imagine how much that watch is worth.
I mean, and again, it's funny. It's probably went to this guy who was like, all right, I got the watch. And then like, it's like in a sock drawer somewhere. And this kid's like, yeah, this is an old grandpa's watch. Like, I don't know where he got it. We don't know anything about it.
He engraved the back though really badly. Looks terrible.
Yeah. I mean, again, who knows? It's probably sitting in a Christie's or Antiquarian vault somewhere, just waiting 30 years from now to be like, we finally found Buzz Aldrin's watch or whatever. We're going to sell it for
It'll be a
hefty
Hodinkee article
premium
one day.
So stupid. Yes. Like the Newman Daytona.
Newman's Newman or Newman's non-Newman?
I just can't even keep track anymore. I'm just like, just why? Just why? I'm so over it. I'm tired of the celebrity watches. They just need to be in a museum. That's fine. Let's
I'm
be
with
over
you.
and done with this.
I'm gonna be honest. I really have become soured on watch spotting.
Yeah.
I'm not about it anymore. I feel like when I first got into it, I thought it was cool because I wanted to know what the celebrities are wearing, and now I just don't care.
Yeah, because half of them are given those watches anyway by their stylists or their PR firms or whatever. It's all smoke and mirrors made for us plebeians to just feel sad and
Yeah,
jealous.
I'm
about.
done with the
It's like,
celeb worship. Why am I surprised that somebody with a lot of money has nice things?
yeah, and I would say this since we're on this topic real quick. It's even more so when it's the influencers. That's what really just gets me. Like when influencers are wearing it, because again, you just know that no matter what, they did not do anything to get that. It was
Hey, careful throwing around
100%.
the I word. I get lumped in with these people.
No. I'm talking about like fashion influencers, not watch influencers.
No, yeah, I know.
There's a difference. There's certainly a difference. I would not talk about my own people that way. But no, when it comes to like fashion influencers or people that are like, these young Gen Z or millennial people that just make ungodly amounts of money on YouTube and they're like, here, wear this gold watch to flaunt around and do stupid bicycle tricks with your friends. Like, maybe I'm just a hater, but I can't.
That's what we do here. It's fine.
Is there anything else you got on your list?
Yeah, I got one more we can end off with. So a brand that's always kind of been a little bit of a blind spot for me, and I've recently, I don't want to say got into it, but somebody who's followed my page for a long time has nonstop DM me about picking up a Nomos, and he finally did. Hello, Toby. Listens every week, tells me about it, but he has sent me so many Nomos models, and he's finally landed on one. And
which one did he get?
I don't know the exact one off the top of my head, but it's a blue dial, and I think it's got orange accents. And I want to say it's a club. I think it's a club.
Does it have Cali numbers?
I want to say yes.
So it's like Arabics on top.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just not sure if it is, but I want to say it's a club.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a club campus with the blue dial and the orange kind of accented numbers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the model.
So we've been going back and forth, not only about the watch, then after that, straps, bracelets, the whole nine. Like, it's been forever. But so I'm finally in touch with Nomos, right? And originally I was drawn to the Orion. It's a nice, pretty affordable option, around $2,000.
Yes.
38 mils, 8 mils thick, small seconds, which is always kind of nice. 30 meters water resistance. I know that's not going to fly with everybody.
Yeah.
19 millimeter lugs.
It's okay. They have plenty of straps on their website. It's okay.
Yeah. I feel like as I was going through, I was kind of losing people. I could see it falling off.
Yeah.
But while I kept going, that newer Nomos that just came out, the Neomatique 42.
Yeah.
A little more pricey. It's around $4,000.
Yeah.
10 millimeters thick, but it's got that traditional steel sports look everybody loves.
Yeah. And it's on that new bracelet.
Yeah.
It's on a new bracelet.
It's got kind of that even numbered Explorer type dial. So it doesn't have the 369. It's got all the other ones. Get it in blue or black. And check this out, 300 meter water resistance.
Yeah.
So it's got on the bottom of the dial, it says 1,000 feet. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. No, it's a very good looking watch. And I will tell you this, I've been a fan of Nomos for a while, and some of their other stuff, like the one you just mentioned, I can certainly see somebody really enjoying that and loving it. I got so hung up on the original Nomos Club that eventually that's just going to be the watch that I have to buy. I will say this though, as a caveat to anybody maybe listening to this who has never tried a Nomos on, I always tell everyone to downsize.
They were a little big.
Because they're all dial and very minuscule bezel.
Yes.
And the lugs are very long. So if you have a smaller wrist in circumference, if you think you would wear a 38, you need to wear a 35. You need to wear a 36 because the lugs in most cases extend past. So it's kind of the one thing that is a gripe that I have about Nomos. Everything else I love. I love that a lot of the movements are made in house. They do their own technology. They're developing their own, regulation system. I think that's what the Neomatique is kind of about. It's like its own regulation system for their movements. And they're making complications too. So it's not just like time and date or manual one. They're making automatics. They're making, pointer date indications, things like that they're really cool. Power reserves. There's a really cool model in the Tangente line that I love. It's like a mint green with like a power reserve and a indicator incorporated into the dial. So very, very, very cool watch.
They got some different stuff, right? They got like the
Yeah,
Tetra.
and yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, that's the model I'm thinking about, the Tetra.
Yeah.
And again, at the fact that you can get into a nice Nomos at like $1,600 for like the OG club, well under 2,000.
Could do worse.
You could do worse. I mean, to get a watch with their own design language, true Bauhaus design, with an in-house movement. Granted, it's manual one and lower water resistance, but there's a lot of worse brands out there to get in that similar price point.
Oh yeah,
that don't have as much history or their own kind of unique look or own authenticity. So I think going with something like that would be really cool. I love it. It's a great solid choice, and I think you said your buddy's name was Toby.
Yeah,
Toby.
Buddy,
great choice on the club.
Across the world.
Yeah, good choice on the club, because if that's what you did indeed get, I think it's a great, fantastic choice. That's always been my personal favorite.
But yeah, I think it's kind of an under the radar brand for a lot of people, and I guess it's because it doesn't really. I mean, they have higher price stuff, but I wouldn't consider them competing in the upper price brackets. They kind of lie in that under 4, under 3 range. You can get some under 2, which is great.
Yeah.
But you get that cool, like you said, Bauhaus design language. And I think with this one, I think for a lot of people, they would say Nomos doesn't necessarily get the nod from a lot of non-watch people, but I think this one resembles more of those traditional steel sports models that a random person would say, hey, I could tell that's a pretty nice watch.
Yeah.
So that was kind of also a box checker I was looking for with this one.
No, I think it's a solid choice. Nomos is a great brand. I think at one point in time they had a little bit more popularity. They've kind of waned a little bit. But I think, with some of their newer stuff coming out, pushing the envelope, in-house technologies, things like that they're starting to get some of that back. So it'll be exciting to see how they do things going forward.
Yeah. And I know that's all I got. You have any more up your sleeve?
No, man, I am all tapped out. Moonwatch is kind of my big one. Actually, you know what? I'll say one more. If since we're talking about Moonwatch, the Railmaster, the Omega Railmaster. I think it's a super underrated watch. 150 meters water resistance, master chronometer certified, all matte finish case, and just a very good, in my opinion, field watch that you could wear for literally everything.
And are there a few different sizes on that?
So the Railmaster, there was a Heritage model that came in at kind of the OG size, which is like 37.5, 38, something like that.
That's what I was thinking of.
Which is so super good. But those were limited editions, and I believe that they're sold out. So if you're able to snag one or find one, jump on it, because it's a great looking watch, but it's going to be more the vintage proportions. The current production model, to my knowledge, is 40 mil, I believe. And that one's kind of like a retro inspired watch, but that's more the one I'm talking about. Because again, accessibility, right? You can get it.
Yeah.
And it's a great looking steel sports watch, black dial, blue dial, or silver dial. It looks good on all different straps. It's 20 mil lugs. If you want it on an all steel bracelet, you can get a steel brushed oyster style bracelet. And, for just over $5,000 from an Omega, it's a great timepiece. So that would be kind of an honorable mention of mine that I would suggest. But that's all I got.
Yeah, and I think the idea of the one watch collection, I think it is appealing for all the reasons we listed earlier. I don't know if I could ever do it. I feel like that would kind of kill my passion for the hobby a little bit. I think I enjoy having
100%.
the choice and the customization and just the variety of whether it be complications or different types of watches or what have you. I think I just enjoy, I don't want to use the cliche term, but curating a collection of things that I feel like speak to me, you know?
Yeah.
And how else could I participate in all those "what are you wearing" stories, right? If I only have one watch, everybody knows. They don't have to ask. And who am I going to annoy tagging them every day?
This is true.
Yeah.
It's like if you weren't tagged in a "what watch are you wearing today," did you really even wear a watch?
If nobody knows what you wore today,
Did
are you even
really
a watch collector?
Yeah, exactly. I'll say this too. It's like to that point, for me, when it comes to watch collecting, there's times when I don't wear a watch for a good amount of time. But as I've mentioned before in this podcast, picking it back up, winding it, setting it, wearing it, you start to remember why you fell in love with it in the first place. And that brings back a lot of memories, a lot of joy. And so for me, it would be an impossible task, really and truly, to go down to a one watch collection. I could do it for a number of months or maybe a year or two, but I could never do it permanently because, as you mentioned, our friend Sam said earlier, it's like, you feel like you're neglecting your kids. Like there's a bit of soul in each one of these watches that you're just not being able to enjoy. And I think for me personally, that rings true a little bit. It's like eventually looking like, oh, little Vostok, I haven't worn you in 6 months. Let me put you out. It's your day to day.
Yeah, let's
and
go.
you're just gonna put them on and rock it, right? And like just go. So I think that there's something to be said for that. But for me, I'm a multi-watch collector. I will collect everything under the sun that if I find it appealing and it's in my price point and I want to get it, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna enjoy it and I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna wear it. I may not wear it every single day or every single week or every single month, but I will come back to it. I will wear it again, and I'm gonna enjoy it as all of us should.
Yeah. So those one watch folks out there, I give them a lot of credit. Cheers to you. I don't think it's for me. And I think that's okay.
And it's not for me either. So
all right. I think that just about wraps episode 7. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I think you'll be hearing this afterwards, but hey, I hope you survived the tryptophan coma and everything like that.
Pray for me.
Yeah.
Pray for me. So real quick before you go though, bro, what are you whipping up? Are you whipping up something cool?
Oh, dude, I got 2 crazy days of prep work ahead of me, and then the big day where I'm responsible for the birds.
Oh,
that's a lot of pressure. We got mad takeouts. I got people who are gonna get them carved in house. Like those things got to be on point.
So you're not excited for Thanksgiving at all. This is work for you.
It's super work, but anybody needs a recipe or something, hit me up. I got tons of them.
Yeah. I need you to DM me that stuffing recipe. Let's go.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, brother. You have a happy Thanksgiving. My best to the family. And I guess we'll catch everyone on the next one.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours and all you at home. Peace.
Deuces.